Has your dog ever done something that made you stop and think, how did they know that? Maybe they showed up at your side at the exact moment you felt overwhelmed. Maybe they reacted to something before it happened. Or maybe they looked at you in a way that felt almost human. If that's ever happened, you're not imagining things. And according to one of the most mysterious figures of the 20th century, it's not a coincidence either. More than 80 years ago, a man known as the Sleeping Prophet warned that a silent awakening would happen right inside our homes. An awakening so subtle, most people would miss it. And it wouldn't come from humans first. It would come from dogs. This man made over 14,000 documented predictions, many of which later came true with unsettling accuracy. He foresaw economic collapse before the Great Depression. He described global wars years before they began. He spoke of earthquakes, technological revolutions, and even a worldwide information network long before the internet existed. But one prophecy, one of the strangest, was quietly ignored for decades. A prophecy about dogs, not as pets, not as companions, but as awakened beings. During deep trance states between 1910 and 1944, this prophet described animals evolving alongside humanity. And among all creatures, dogs stood apart. He called them four-legged guardians. He said they would awaken when Earth entered a new vibrational phase, that they would act as bridges between the physical and unseen worlds, and that many of them would arrive disguised as ordinary household pets. According to these visions, dogs possess abilities humans once had and lost, abilities that would return, not to us first, but to them. And here's the part that changes everything. He didn't describe this awakening as something far in the future. He said it would begin during a time of global crisis, a period marked by pandemics, environmental instability, emotional overwhelm, and rapid technological change. In other words, now. He described three distinct stages, three waves of canine evolution, and every single one of them is already happening. The first wave involved heightened perception. Dogs would begin detecting illnesses before medical equipment could. They would sense danger before it appeared. They would react to events before they unfolded. The second wave went even further. Dogs would begin communicating directly with humans, without words, responding to thoughts, emotions, intentions. The third wave was the most powerful of all. Dogs would become energetic protectors, neutralizing emotional heaviness, absorbing stress, stabilizing homes, hospitals, and even entire families, simply by being present. At the time these words were spoken, the idea sounded absurd. This was the 1940s. Dogs were guards, hunters, workers. The thought that they could heal emotions, read thoughts, or cleanse environments was dismissed as fantasy. But today, science is struggling to explain what people are witnessing every single day. Dogs detecting cancer before scans, alerting owners to seizures hours in advance, refusing to leave people who are silently depressed, showing up during emotional breakdowns without being called. Some owners report their dogs reacting to events happening miles away. Others describe animals that won't let them leave the house on certain days, only to discover later that accidents or crises occurred. And it doesn't stop there. Animal shelters around the world are reporting something unusual. Dogs that once went unnoticed are suddenly forming instant, intense bonds with specific people. They bypass dozens of visitors and walk straight toward the one person who needs them most. Divorce, grief, illness, loneliness. It's as if they know. Shelter workers say it feels less like adoption and more like recognition. Veterinarians began noticing changes too. Dogs that were once calm suddenly became hyper-aware of emotional shifts. They reacted before arguments, before panic attacks, before bad news arrived. Some professionals started calling it emotional hypersensitivity. Others simply said, "Something has changed." And what's most striking is that this isn't limited to certain breeds: purebred, mixed, rescue, stray. From city apartments to rural farms, dogs everywhere are displaying abilities that don't fit old explanations. Even more fascinating, rescued dogs often show the strongest signs, as if surviving abandonment activates something deeper, as if being chosen and choosing back unlocks a higher purpose. During one of the prophet's final trance sessions, he revealed something that stunned everyone present. He said many of the dogs arriving during this awakening period were not ordinary souls. They were advanced consciousnesses, beings that intentionally chose animal bodies to help humans navigate an unstable era. Teachers disguised as pets, healers wrapped in fur. But he also issued a warning. Not everyone would notice. Most people would dismiss the signs as coincidence. Instinct, training. Only those paying attention, those emotionally and spiritually aware, would form deeper partnerships with their dogs. And those partnerships would change lives. By the early 2000s, documented cases began increasing rapidly. Dogs alerting owners to undiagnosed diabetes. Dogs predicting epileptic seizures. Dogs fixating on parts of the body that later revealed tumors. In one widely discussed case, a dog repeatedly sniffed and scratched the same spot on its owner's arm for weeks. Medical tests initially showed nothing, but further scans revealed an early-stage tumor, exactly where the dog had been focused. The owner later said, "I wouldn't be alive if I hadn't listened." Hospitals began noticing patterns too. Therapy dogs would ignore entire rooms, then sit silently beside one patient for hours. Often, that patient would later experience complications or emotional collapse. Nurses quietly began trusting the dogs, not officially, not on paper, but instinctively. Meanwhile, reports of dogs reacting to natural disasters grew stronger. Earthquakes, storms, structural failures. Some dogs alerted families days in advance, not hours, days. They refused to enter certain spaces, blocked doors, woke people from sleep. In one case, a dog escaped its home, ran several blocks, and prevented workers from entering a construction zone minutes before a collapse. No training, no prior behavior like it, just knowing. And this was still only the beginning, because the second wave, telepathic connection, was already activated. People began noticing their dogs waiting at the door before they even decided to go home, appearing beside them the moment sadness hit, responding to silent thoughts. Experiments confirmed it. Dogs obeying commands that were never spoken, reacting to intentions rather than actions. Distance didn't matter. Some dogs reacted to danger faced by owners thousands of miles away. Others mirrored emotional trauma in real time. Brain scans even revealed synchronized neural patterns between dogs and humans, sometimes from separate rooms, as if they were tuned to the same frequency. Researchers struggled to explain it. But the prophet had already seen it decades earlier. He said this awakening would accelerate as human consciousness shifted. And according to multiple studies, that shift is happening now. Global crises generate massive emotional and electromagnetic waves. Animals, especially dogs, are extraordinarily sensitive to these changes. They don't just react, they adapt. And when collective human stress peaks, dogs evolve faster. During the global lockdowns, veterinarians reported an explosion of unusual behaviors. Dogs became more emotionally responsive, more protective, more aware. Some owners said it felt like their dog suddenly understood them. Others said it felt like their dog was watching over them. Which brings us to the third wave, the most powerful one of all: dogs becoming energetic stabilizers. Homes that once felt heavy suddenly felt calm. People overwhelmed by grief found relief just by sitting near their dog. Arguments dissolved when a dog entered the room. Some animals began moving through homes methodically, stopping at specific places, lying down, breathing deeply. Afterward, the emotional atmosphere shifted. Holistic therapists noticed it too. Dogs absorbing emotional energy during sessions, shaking it off, returning calm. They weren't reacting, they were working. And according to the prophecy, this is exactly what was supposed to happen. What makes this third wave so profound is that it goes beyond protection or intuition. It's about transformation. Dogs are no longer just reacting to human emotion. They are actively regulating it. People who live with highly sensitive dogs often describe the same experience. After a long day, the moment the dog enters the room, the tension fades. Breathing slows. Thoughts quiet down. It feels intentional. Almost as if the dog is saying, "I've got this. You're safe now." Researchers studying emotional regulation have begun paying attention to this phenomenon. Heart rate variability tests show that human nervous systems stabilize faster when certain dogs are nearby. Stress hormones drop. Brain waves shift toward calmer states. But here's the part science can't explain yet. Some dogs seem to target specific emotional wounds. They don't comfort everyone the same way. They go exactly where they're needed. People suffering from grief report dogs lying directly over the chest or stomach. Those dealing with anxiety notice dogs pressing against their legs or feet. Individuals recovering from trauma describe dogs staying alert during sleep, positioning themselves between the person and the door. These are not random behaviors. They are deliberate responses to invisible signals. In homes that have experienced conflict, separation, or loss, many dogs develop what owners describe as night patrols. They walk slowly through rooms, pause in specific areas, lie down silently. Over time, the emotional heaviness lifts. Arguments decrease. Sleep improves. The house feels different, as if something has been cleared. Some holistic practitioners believe dogs are absorbing emotional residue left behind by intense experiences. Others believe they're stabilizing energetic imbalances created by human stress. Either way, the effect is undeniable, and it's becoming more common. In fact, many people now say their dogs changed after a specific moment. A loss, a crisis, a turning point. It's as if the dog woke up. One of the most striking patterns researchers have noticed is timing. Dogs seem to activate these abilities when they are needed most. Not before, not randomly. Exactly when something critical is about to happen. There are countless stories. Dogs waking entire families seconds before fires, pulling children away from traffic moments before accidents, alerting parents to infants in distress without ever being trained. In one widely shared case, a young dog began barking relentlessly in the middle of the night and scratching at a bedroom door. The family assumed it was a routine issue. But the dog ran straight to the baby's room and refused to stop barking. The infant had stopped breathing. Doctors later confirmed that without the dog's intervention, the child would not have survived. What makes cases like this so astonishing is that the dogs involved often had no prior protective behavior, no training, no history. It's as if something activated inside them at the exact moment it was required. And this isn't limited to protecting family members. Some dogs have saved complete strangers, dogs that escape homes and run directly to danger zones, dogs that block people from entering unsafe spaces, dogs that insist on intervening when no visible threat exists. Later, disasters occur, collapsed structures, accidents, medical emergencies. Time and time again, the dog was right. Researchers studying these cases say the behavior goes beyond instinct. They describe it as precognitive awareness, knowing something before there are any physical signs, which leads us back to the second wave, the telepathic connection. Because for many people, this is the part that feels the most personal. The feeling that your dog can hear your thoughts, that they know what you're about to do, what you're feeling, what you're afraid of, Large-scale studies have documented thousands of cases where dogs respond not to actions, but to intention. Owners think about going home, and the dog waits at the door. Owners silently decide to cancel plans, and the dog relaxes. Owners experience sudden sadness, and the dog appears instantly. Distance doesn't seem to matter. Some dogs react when owners are miles, or even continents, away. Military families have reported dogs becoming distressed during moments of combat, only to calm down once the danger passes. When dates and times are compared, the synchronization is exact. Brain imaging studies add another layer. When dogs and humans share strong emotional bonds, their brain activity begins to mirror each other. Heart rhythms sync, neural patterns align, even when they aren't in the same room. It's as if the bond itself creates a communication channel. And according to the prophecy, this connection strengthens as human consciousness evolves. Which brings us to the larger picture. Why is all of this happening now? Why are dogs around the world awakening at the same time? The answer lies in something far bigger than individual homes. According to the sleeping prophet's visions, Earth itself is changing. He described a period when humanity would face intense pressure, technological acceleration, environmental instability, emotional overload. And during that pressure, dormant abilities would activate, not just in humans, but in animals closely bonded to us, especially dogs. Dogs have lived alongside humans for thousands of years. They evolved with us, adapted to us, emotionally synchronized with us. When human consciousness shifts, dogs shift too. Studies measuring global emotional energy show spikes during major world events. Trauma, fear, collective grief. They all generate measurable effects. Animals feel it immediately. Dogs, in particular, seem to act as living antennas. They pick up subtle changes in the planet's electromagnetic and emotional fields. And instead of being overwhelmed by it, they respond. The early 2000s marked a turning point. Global shock, uncertainty, fear. That's when reports of unusual canine behavior began increasing rapidly. The 2020 pandemic intensified it even more. Veterinarians worldwide reported unprecedented changes. Dogs became more emotionally responsive, more attached, more aware. Animals that had never shown sensitivity suddenly began detecting stress, fear, and illness. Some owners describe their dogs as becoming protective without aggression, always alert, always present, never panicked, almost like guardians. Astronomical events also seem to amplify these abilities. Solar eclipses, supermoons, global meditation events. During these times, researchers observed spikes in unusual canine behavior, dogs entering calm, meditative states, synchronizing with human emotional waves, becoming unusually still and focused. Some spiritual centers report their dogs becoming deeply peaceful during collective prayer or meditation, almost as if participating. All of this aligns with one core idea. Dogs are not just responding to humans. They are responding to the planet itself. As consciousness rises, so does their role. And that role is becoming clearer every year. To stabilize, to protect, to heal. Evolutionary scientists describe this as accelerated symbiotic evolution. Two species evolving together in response to extreme conditions. Humans are overwhelmed emotionally, disconnected from intuition, flooded with information. Dogs are evolving the exact traits we lack: presence, sensitivity, emotional clarity, early warning. It's not random. It's adaptive, which explains why so many people feel like their dog chose them, that their meeting wasn't accidental. Dogs with these heightened abilities often arrive during life transitions: grief, burnout, illness, loss. They appear through unlikely circumstances, unexpected adoptions, chance encounters. But it doesn't feel like chance. It feels purposeful. More people are beginning to recognize this. Entire new professions are emerging. Animal communicators, human, canine bond specialists, therapists working with dogs as emotional co-regulators. Technology is evolving too. Devices measuring emotional synchronization, apps tracking heart rate alignment between humans and dogs, platforms connecting people with animals displaying similar sensitivities. We are redefining what a pet is and what a companion truly means. The prophecy never said dogs would replace human growth. It said they would support it, guide it, stabilize it, help us remember what we forgot. Unconditional presence, emotional honesty, connection beyond words. If you have a dog, pay attention. Notice when they appear. Notice what they react to. Notice how they change the atmosphere around you. These aren't accidents. They are signals. And if you don't have a dog yet, be open. Some connections arrive exactly when we need them. The awakening isn't coming. It's already here. And it's walking beside us, quietly, loyally, and with more awareness than we ever imagined. Your dog may not just be part of your life. They may be part of something much bigger, a conscious partnership, a shared evolution. And once you see it, you'll never look at them the same way again. So where does that leave us now? It leaves us at a crossroads most people don't even realize they're standing on. For thousands of years, humans believed intelligence only looked one way: spoken language, logic, technology. But this awakening is showing us something different. Intelligence can be quiet. It can be emotional. It can be instinctual and precise at the same time. Dogs don't need words to understand. They don't need explanations. They don't need proof. They feel truth instantly. And that may be exactly why they were chosen for this role. According to the prophecy, dogs would step forward when humans became overwhelmed by their own minds. When thinking replaced feeling. When speed replaced presence. They would anchor us back into the moment. That's why dogs don't worry about the future. They don't replay the past. They exist fully in now. And when you're near them, you feel it too. This is not accidental. More people are beginning to notice subtle patterns in their daily lives. Dogs positioning themselves between their owners and strangers. Dogs refusing to enter certain buildings. Dogs suddenly changing routines for no obvious reason. Then later, the reason appears. An argument avoided. An accident missed. A decision delayed that would have caused harm. These moments rarely make headlines. They happen quietly, but they add up. And when you look at them together, a bigger picture forms. Dogs are not evolving randomly. They are evolving with us. The prophecy never claimed dogs would become something supernatural. It said they would remember something ancient. A way of perceiving reality humans once had. A way of sensing truth without analysis. A way of loving without conditions. And as humanity moves through this unstable period, emotionally, socially, and energetically, dogs are acting as stabilizers. They are grounding points in a rapidly shifting world. This also explains why losing a dog feels so profound. It's not just the loss of a pet. It feels like losing a presence, a protector, a silent partner who understood you without explanation. Many people say the bond they share with their dog feels deeper than logic, that it transcends time, that it feels familiar, almost as if it existed before this lifetime. The prophecy addressed this too. It suggested that bonds between humans and certain animals are not random across lifetimes. They are recurring partnerships, shared journeys. And that would explain why some dogs feel like they've always known you, why eye contact feels intense, why separation feels heavy, why connection feels immediate. If you're listening to this and thinking about your own dog, trust that instinct. If something inside you says, "There's more here," you're probably right. You don't need special training to deepen this connection. Just awareness, presence. Pay attention when your dog reacts without obvious cause. Notice how they respond to your emotions, not your words. Observe how they change the energy of a room just by entering it. These are not small things. They are communication. And the more you acknowledge it, the stronger it becomes. Some people begin experiencing shared calm. Others notice increased intuition. Others report emotional healing they can't explain. Not because the dog is doing something to them, but because the dog is reminding them of something within themselves. This awakening is not about dogs becoming more human. It's about humans remembering how to be more present, more intuitive, and more connected. Dogs are simply leading the way, quietly, faithfully, without asking for recognition. The prophecy didn't end with a warning. It ended with an invitation. An invitation to recognize that consciousness doesn't belong to one species, that guidance doesn't always come in human form, and that sometimes the greatest teachers walk beside us on four legs. If you have a dog, you are not just caring for an animal. You are participating in a partnership that is reshaping how consciousness evolves on this planet. And once you see it that way, everything changes. The question now isn't whether this awakening is real. The question is whether you're ready to notice it. Because chances are, it's already been watching over you this whole time.